I was jamming to the intro.
That intro be popping.
Yeah, dude. I'm like, what? She muted?
Nah. Well, she is muted.
I'm telling you, let me tell you guys, this here app wants to be so bougie sometimes because one day it's gonna, unmute, and then one day it's not gonna unmute. So anyways. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Alora Hour podcast with your girl, Alora Danny. I am so excited to be here today because I have a very special guest. Hey, guest, go ahead and introduce yourself with your bad self.
Oh, man, I'm just a humble brother, part of Truth Entertainment Films, as well as AAA Productions, known as Black V. The guy, if you don't know me, if you listen anywhere in the podcast world, you heard some of the other podcasts that I help produce or executive produce, everything from Pussy Talks to Queens with Attitude to Deep Throat Conversation to the AAA podcast to Product of the 80s podcast. So small thing and part of everything major, and I'm just happy to be surrounded by great people and continue to put out great content.
Oh, so you Chris Dad from Everybody Hate Chris.
Yeah, I got like a whole bunch of jobs, but I really don't do much of my jobs, but I just be putting my name on stuff.
Okay, boss. And then we have another special guest coming in from Nevada, right?
Yeah, Las Vegas.
All right. Oh, there it is. Vegas in the house. Guys, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, my name is Frank Wade. I live here, reside in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm a realtor here, also in law school, and doing a dual degree in chain supply management and logistics as well. Author of a book, Mega Shot 5 Man, Route to the Q's, got to get that up, And then, I just try to do a lot of things out here, man. Just love learning and doing the things that I got to do, beautiful family, wife, kids, you know what I'm saying? And just trying to do my part, in the community, man, to move forward. So,
Awesome.
I dig it, sir.
All right.
Can I say something real quick? It's a Hard Not Life podcast too. I'm just gonna get in trouble. Annie will kill me.
Shout out to Annie. All right. Yeah, he said, hold on, I forget. I got one more. Let me add one more.
Yeah, let me add one more, so I don't get killed. Listen, I'll be scared of Annie.
Okay, guys, so let me tell you why we are here today, guys. So we all know that Ye has been making headlines like every other day, seriously. But I want to talk about one headline that he made.
Shelly.
How you doing, Shelly? He made headlines for, and that was his comment of slavery was a choice. Slavery was a choice. So Ye made that comment in 2018, guys. It is 2022, and everyone is still talking about it. And it is still the topic of everyone's dinner conversation, lunch conversation, and even the steam room conversations. So I want to get into this because it is truly still ongoing. The steam is still going with this comment. So I want to start out by asking everyone in general, do you guys think slavery was a choice? Yeah or nay?
Damn right it was. No, man.
I don't think
So
so.
I would say no initially when it first happened, but the kings of each village made it a choice. They were wrapping up their own folks, putting them to the shore, and pretty much selling them to the British and the Portuguese because they wanted the money. So, like I would say initially no, But over time, as it built up and they started noticing it was a business, then those villager leaders were the ones who were responsible. So it was a choice for them, but not the individuals involved.
Okay.
So it's like a two-part answer on that question.
Okay. So I'm going to let everyone else give their answers, then we're going to dig in. Do you think it was a choice, Jamar? I mean, I'm sorry, Black V. Do you think it was a choice?
Yes and no. Being enslaved was not a choice. Except for, like he said, I mean, if you dig deep to it, then yes, there were kings and other tribes that conspired against each other. And even once they did the dirty work of rounding everybody up, they themselves found themselves rounded up. To answer it based off of how, in the context that Kanye meant it, I agree. Slavery was a choice based off of the fact that his words was 400 years, all y'all people, all on this plantation, all together, all y'all, and to continue to stay slaves for 400 years, that sounds like slavery is a choice to me. That sounds like mentally choosing to stay there. And we are still mentally slaves. That's what he said. You muted yourself again.
Yeah, I muted myself on purpose. So, Frank, let me ask you the same question. Do you agree with Kanye's comments that slavery was a choice?
Well, my answer is going to be no, and I want you to get where I'm going with this, because I'm kind of going from being a law student and investigating in things and laws and all of this stuff plays into play with all of this. You got a couple factors that's going on, okay? You got something that's called British law, to which a lot of that we still deal with, which is called common law in the field of law. And so when you're dealing with the slaves, and I agree, as the brother said, you had tribal leaders who were actually helping that particular situation go on. But there's a couple factors that are going on. Even within slavery, you had the question of religion, where you were dealing with Christianity, and you were dealing with the Muslim religion. Now, under common law and British law, which a lot of people don't understand, is a lot of those slaves were coming through from over the period of time that goes back into Jerusalem, into Africa, South Africa, West Africa, and different things like that. Now, you had the papals or the popes who made 3 major decrees. And the first decree that started it all is about that they were going to take everything from us as humans, blacks. They were going to take our wealth. This is in the papal decree. There's 3 of them. That we were going to lose who we are in the image of everything. These are historical facts. And then under common law says that if you were a Christian, you could not be a slave. They could not enslave you anywhere, whether you were black, white, or whatever. And this also played a play, because if you get a chance to look at certain writings and you do deep writing, a lot of those slaves, even on the slave ships and even coming into America, declared that they were Christians, and even went to court when they were here declaring that they were Christians, because you couldn't enslave a Christian. So what white slave owners started doing is started writing within the laws that unless you're white, you can't be a Christian. And, unless you're white, you can't read or write. Now, we hear a lot of things talking about the slave Bible and different things like that. Yeah, they did do things like that, because they took out, I'm going to let you get to that. I just want to finish this point.
Okay.
And what they were getting to is like taking out passages like the Exodus, because they didn't want them to begin to try to like feel like it could empower them to make them, rise up in different things like that. And that famous quote we like to use, slaves obey your masters. But if you look at a lot of the writings that were back then, even in some of the slaves' own writings, okay, you had these slave masters who didn't want them to be Christian, because they knew this. Even they didn't want them to be Muslim, and what they were. See, we tend to think that all they came over here with was just our, quote unquote ancestors' religion. Many of the slaves came over here with Christian religion, and many of them came over with the Muslim religion.
That's true.
So in the common law, which was practiced throughout England, if you were a Christian, you couldn't be a slave. And so many of them were trying to get their freedom based on that in the courts. And the courts were denying them. Now, you had slavery that was voluntary, then you had the brutality of slavery that was going on. So when I say no, yes, they could have rose up, and many of them did. And a lot of people don't realize that many of them did. But the power of the law was not on their side. And when you don't have
the power of the law, and then historians leaving that part out.
And that's the part. When they did rise up, it always hurt us when we were in slavery.
Right.
So,
go ahead, Bass.
Question for you regards when you're saying law. Now, are we talking about U.S. law? Or are we talking about
British law, common law?
So
because a lot of things.
No, I mean, like when you're saying the we're going to courts and all that stuff. Where are they located? These people.
Well, everything was based on British law, and even in here, and then
the slavery trade started.
I know where Vaz is
over there in Britain.
No, because those laws that you say were common laws, those are state laws. Those are not laws by. This is probably pre-Constitution.
Yeah, pre-Constitution.
Colonial days. Okay, so Constitution, right? Didn't still had slaves. So when the Constitution was first
Constitution, but did you hear what I just said? Then they started making laws, because you got to remember, when we created the United States, it was really a coup, because we already had a constitution.
It was a military coup against.
It was a coup by George Washington and them.
No,
and they only had authority.
It wasn't by George. It wasn't by George Washington. It was really
party that started it all.
Yeah.
It was a lot of them. It was a lot of them.
But the Boston one was the main one. But
it was a lot of them.
But so your answer is you don't believe it was a choice, right?
I don't think it was a choice. I think that maybe, like I said, they did rise up. A lot of them did rise up. But laws hindered them from going where they really wanted to go with it, because there's many of them that did rise up.
Randy said Abraham Lincoln.
You can read the book of history. What is it? People's history of the United States.
We're talking about
where there's actual writings and stuff of things that were going on back then.
Yes. So I'm gonna get out of the laws real fast. So even though they went to court, because that is true, some of them were able to go to court and try to fight for it, because if you were a Christian, you weren't supposed to be.
You weren't supposed to be a slave.
That is true, and that's things like that is something that our U.S.
we don't teach that.
They don't. Yeah, they want to leave it out, just like that governor who wants to leave out the history of this country. And those are the things that fall through the cracks that people don't understand. So even though Kanye said it was 400 years. That sounds like a choice to me. I got it, but then I didn't get it, because after 400 years, you would start to rebel, I mean, 400 years, that's a long time. Like you said, that pretty much sounds like a choice. But I want to challenge you guys to think this, right? So they come over here, and like people say, it was a choice. How many slaves were here in the U.S. at that time? And where could they hide? Because it wasn't that many places that they could hide. Even if they were to rise up, where were they going to rise up and go?
Well, at that time, they had the North and South separated by that time.
B-Vaz, let Jamar go after you.
Oh, no, go ahead, brother. I'll wait till you finish. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. Initially, when it first started, I'll let him finish. I'll go ahead and let him talk, but
No, he can go after you. That's what I'm saying. He can go after you.
I'm sorry.
All right, so we need it. When you say 400 years and all that stuff, we have to talk about when it first started, right? So, you're talking about the 1600s when it was beginning. That's when it was, the slave trade didn't really take off until after the Americas were discovered. Because then Portugal and South America and Horn of Africa, Britain, they made this trade. It was like a rotating circle. And it was all because cash crops were also something they discovered back then in the Latin Americas. So they had even more reason to go and get it, because down there they had the sugar cane. They were pulling from Latin Americas, and they were just using all that manpower. They didn't have manpower. So all it was just how do we get manpower and how do we get it really fast? And that's how it was started.
Let me add to that.
Add 200 years to it, right? And we're now having the colonial side. And then we get into 1700s to the late mid 1800s. the North and South started splitting. So when he was saying about the church, the courts and everything about people who were Christians coming here, that was in the later years. That was in the 1800s when they were coming in, because the laws were already established, and they were saying, you know, the word was getting out. Hey, if you are a Christian, you won't be enslaved if you run up to the North and declare you're a Christian. That was your safe haven.
But that was before. That was before coming to America, though. That was way before they were brought here. That was the proclamation there. Like, you know,
there were actually writings though from those who were on the ships who declared that they were, and telling them on the ships. They don't tell us this in history. Yeah. They won't even let some of this stuff be accessible to people. Mm-hmm. You know, that slaves were doing this even on the ships, and before they were coming, saying you can't do this. You can't do this, and they won't. Some of that information is just not accessible to us. Yeah. Okay, and they don't want it out there.
Right. Let me read this comment to the from our fan. So Randy Easter said Africa participated, traded slaves for goods and resources from the British settlers. That is very true. That's true. Very true, Randy. Go ahead, Jamar. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
To piggyback off of everything both the brothers said, my thing is this: if you go back to coming over on the ships during the whole entire period until they stopped us from stop the whole trading, you had ancestors or brothers or people who fought to the death. Some mutiny, took over ships, but didn't know how to whatever the ships. But they made the choice that they'd rather die than continue to be in bondage. There, and just like brother said down there, there were way more people who tried to rebel than Nat Turner. And there were more people who tried to help other people get to freedom than Harriet Tubman. These are just the names, few of the names that we hear. So there were people who made the choice, and this is the hardest thing people have to understand. Yes, it was going to be a fight no matter what. The thing is that we had at the time was, which helps the choice argument, but hurts hurts us in the process, is that we on these plantation per plantation to plantation had the numbers. We had the numbers. That's true. And so, but we run into the same problem that we run into then that we still are facing today. You could not get enough of those on the plantation because whether it was fear, because they were the conditioning, or the fear of like, I know this is wrong. I know how they treat me, because we knew, even if you were born into it, you knew the unfair treatment. Because remember, they were doing the practices of, I'm gonna treat you better if you're light skinned. I'm gonna put you closer to the house, or if you're mixed, or whatever. Hey, so you, as a human being, you know and understand unfair treatment even since childhood. Yes, you understand it. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I want to hear from you.
No. Yeah, I'm saying.
I want to hear from you. I'm gonna go after you.
So it being enslaved was not a choice. Not for anybody, even those who was enslaving folks and then end up being enslaved themselves. Coming over here into certain things, and yes, the law never works in favor of those who are the captors. To the victor goes the spoils. So again, like in this country today, how do they keep you obedient? They put laws in place so you can't break them. So back then, you would have to break a law, but if you feel like this is life or death, I'm trying to watch my language. Do we really give a damn about laws if you're like, yo, I'm willing to die for this, for my freedom? And so that's my only thing is being in a choice, because put it to you like this: if it wasn't for this great word called capitalism, if you left it up to us to go fight and get our freedom, we'd still be in bondage.
I feel that. And I want to add this. So when I hear a lot of people out here speculating that it was a choice, right? And I'm not going to say necessarily it was a choice. So we have to think about in the time when slavery began, you go to these small towns in West Africa, because it was mostly done in West Africa. And these are villages who are poor. And like you said, they wanted to trade with the British settlers. Now, from what I read, the slaves who were with the British settlers weren't necessarily done the way the slaves were treated, like done in the U.S. So the U.S., they beat the slaves way worse than anything that happened over here in Britain. So for them, it could have been like this. Yes, I'm a slave. I'm gonna trade my cousin off into slavery. I know that he's gonna have a warm bed, a house. He's just gonna have to do some work, and he's just doing this because we got to remember this is kind of a custom that people still do and practice now. You marry off your daughter, right? You marry off your sons. Mm-hmm. But when you marry them off, you don't expect them to be done wrong. And when you find out they're being done wrong, you want them back, right? So we can kind of use it as, in the sense of that slavery was a choice to that nature. I don't think the slaves who came here thought what happened to them was going to happen to them. Anybody want to piggyback off of that?
I mean, again, I look at it look at it today. Okay. And I want to piggyback off of something I said in that one podcast. If you ever read, what was it? Benjamin Franklin's, his observance about expansion or whatever, 1751. You have in verses 24 through 26, Benjamin Franklin tells us in 1751 that the only place where there are people of white skin color is in Saxony and in what we know as Europe. He says the whole world. He says Russia, Germany. He says even in America, he said the Germans are coming in here. We came here that we might have a land for ourselves. And so we are more the population. Like people think that, they're more than us. There's only maybe about 800,000 to maybe 1 billion white people in the world. The rest are people of color. But think about it, even in America, with all of that power, like what my brother was talking about. It's something about these laws. When those laws are embedded in our head that, and they crack that whip with that law, we back down. I mean, look at the stuff that happened down in, what was it, Charleston or whatever, when they rose up. Where were we at? Okay, look at the stuff that happened at the Capitol. You know what I'm saying? I mean, do we really rise up and take our rightful place with all that? No. We don't do it. No. Because it's something that has been embedded in us since the beginning, that when they crack the whip on the law, it's a conditioning. Down.
We are conditioned. Right. But that's a continued mentality since then and on.
I'll hot take y'all real quick.
Okay, let's go.
So I'll say slavery still exists, but we just name it different. We call it hostess. We call it waiter. We call it butler, valet, janitor.
Yeah.
So anyone who provides a service, busboy, cook, it's just a fancy term to replace slavery. Because
I like that.
We have black cooks, the ones that were in the kitchen in the plantations, because there were maids in there. There were cleaning people, because the ones that cleaned, if you didn't have an education but you could clean something, you were doing that. These trades that require no education, they still exist today. Those are the sad parts. It's just that people just don't look at it like it's still there. You just
no, we don't look at it in that form anymore, because I'm not going to go into a restaurant and be the waitress if she doesn't get my order right. Now you might give her a flashing.
How do we treat them when they don't get it right?
Okay, that's true, but there's a difference. And I feel like you're trying to compare apples to oranges.
No. I'm saying that it's still there today. Meaning, if we don't get the thing that we're looking for, we treat them as if they're not people. Have you not seen how those individuals?
I mean, I get it. I get it.
Feel like they don't even get paid well.
I get that. I really do. I get that. But this is the thing. That was their choice. They walked into a job. They filled out the application. They went to the interview. They did training, and then they started, and then they got paid. They have a choice whether they want to walk away or not. So
I see what he did there. Yeah. I see what he did there. It's we only look at slavery. You're both right, but we tend to only look at slavery through one perspective of the lens. Basically, in a sense, his would be more along the lines of, but different.
Of modern day slavery.
And what's that used to be called indentured
servitude.
Indentured servitude.
Indentured servitude, yes.
So like with that, and indentured servitude was like one of the first earlier things they did in America too, with it, and that's when they used to do anybody. You come over and you would serve your whatever case for a period of time, and then you'd be able to go. But again, I get where Laura you're coming from, and I get where he's coming from. I think it would behoove us to only look at slavery just in the form we're used to, and only looking at it that way. Yeah,
like the demeaning form of what it did to humans. It demeaned humans, but it still exists as a form. It's just dignified now, and people don't
like
really
in prison
see it. Yeah, prisons.
Yeah,
too.
like they do within prison.
The biggest form, because you get paid cents on the dollar, and you're made to go and clean out highways and stuff on a chain gang. It's the exact same. So what I'm saying is, it's like that's the indignified version of what the dignified version is, right? So you just said prisons. Prisons is the indignified version, right? Your dignity is kind of gone when you're out there in the chain gang. But then you have these ones that are out and about. Like, where's the choice? Is the choice taken from you when you're in prison? Do you have a choice?
Well, yes, you do. The consequences.
You do, but you don't. See, that's a double-edged sword there. So that's tricky. So there's a lot of people who are locked up in the prison system right now who shouldn't be there for some of the charges that they have, just because they want to keep that person in there and get money from the government and the states to keep that butt there and do whatever they need to do to get whatever fundings they need. So the prison system, we could definitely say that is definitely modern day slavery. It is created for the people who look like me, you, Brandon, also, and Mr. Jamar and Frank.
It is, and could I have everybody consider this as well? I mean, I don't know. Again, if anybody ever read the book of People's History of the United States, where it gives an account of actual people who lived during that time. And that's why I love this book, because these records are in the Library of Congress. These records are in places that they don't even teach us these things, okay? Where it wasn't the United States first, but they were trying to bring over Asians first to do what was done, and they couldn't handle it. And then the first ship that came over had white folks on it, indentured slavery. And the white folks was like, hell no, we ain't doing, and burn Jamestown down. And then we get the process of where we going now. Right. And then you got to go into Shays' Rebellion. So when the black folks started saying, and some of the white folks were even back then, this is in writing, saying, wait a minute, this ain't right. We're going to all come together and come up against this. And they're doing the same thing. And I always go to this Shays' Rebellion. They're going to take your jobs. They're going to do this to you. They're going to do that to you. And it's just like who was that? Lyndon B. Johnson said, if you make a white man feel like he's better than the most educated black person, you will get every piece of money out of his pocket and he will do anything for you.
Better say that.
That sounds like something going on today, don't it?
Randy Easter said, Randy Easter, I'm gonna read a comment real quick. He said 94 crime bill thanks to Joe Biden.
Hey, that definitely messed up a lot of stuff.
Can I talk on that one?
Go ahead. Talk your shit.
In a way, yeah, and I get into it with a lot of people on Facebook about this, okay? Because the 94 crime bill first started with a Texas senator. I used to know his name real good. It started with a Texas senator. All right, he's the one that actually put it together. Now, how did it come together? It came together because we were dealing with a lot of drugs and different things in our communities. And it was the pastors, it was the black leaders, it was the black caucus that was saying that the government wasn't doing enough to protect our people in these communities. And so you get this Texas senator who gets his bill going after we're really like going off on him. Do something about this. And so what's his name? Kwame, what's his name? The senator or congressman? He was a part of it too that was saying y'all ain't doing enough.
United Black Caucus was part of it too.
Yeah, huh?
The United Black Caucus was part of helping get that bill passed too.
And we don't talk about this. And so then it's passed on to Joe Biden. Joe Biden picks it up because he's saying, okay, he wants to get this Women Against Violence Act passed. So he gets a part and they begin to put it together. Now, in his first bill he wrote, it had a lot of stuff that was dealing with helping us. It had a lot of stuff that did with like education, reform, and the Republicans said, hell no, it's not enough and it's not tough enough on crimes, and we will not pass this bill unless you make it tough on crimes. And they made him get with the head of the police union. It was the head of the police union out of New York who actually wrote that bill. Now, am I saying Joe Biden doesn't have a part in it? Because again, he had a choice to say no.
He had a choice.
But he wanted that women's, what was it? The women's something to protect women's act to get what was in that bill. And so everybody don't realize that this thing of putting us in prison started way before the 94 crime bill. It actually started with Nixon. Nixon on through Reagan. That's when the high levels went up. It wasn't just with the 94 crime bill.
What I think the problem with that modern day stuff that you were saying, what's going on today.
Oh, Randy said it was. I'm sorry. B, when you get a chance, read that comment.
Okay. Randy Easter says it was also known that Clinton was crime bill as well. Yeah, Clinton was a part of it.
Yeah,
he signed it. So what I was looking at, thinking back when you were talking, there's this modern day issue that we had back then in the during those 400 years is that you took education out, you took the ability to read out.
Yeah,
you got rid of that. I need to find my information. Today, it's so much easier to find information.
That's true.
So today, that information actually being taken away as well. So if you look at inner city schools, because I went to inner city schools and I went to private schools. So inner city schools, we didn't have books, man. Like Lori could tell you, we was in a school using 30-year-old books, and
using paper bags.
Yeah,
to hide the damages to the books.
And
is that why they told us we was making the book covers and really?
That's why they had the book covers.
Oh, damn it! I never knew.
And those books that we got new, I only remember 2 times that we got new books.
Me too.
And it was in 5th grade and 6th grade.
It was Miss Vanessa's class, and I believe Mr. Walcott's class.
What was this at?
Ohio.
I'm from Warren.
Yeah, we were in Youngstown.
Yes,
I'm from Youngstown.
Right.
And they made it seem so fun. They would go, we would get these book
Decorate
covers. Before we actually got the book cover that had designs on it, they used to have us take up paper bags and cut the paper bags and tape it around the books, because there was obscenities in the books. Like the books, you could tell went through some stuff, and that is the difference between the private schools and the public schools. The private schools didn't have to worry about that. And like B said, the access to information, like we have more access to information than they did back then. But also, I kind of want to change gears, but then stay on the same path. So with the comment that Ye said slavery was a choice, it resonated to me for currently, because I can't speak on 400 years ago because I wasn't there and I don't know what they went through and I didn't live through it. But I can speak to right now, and I would say that mentally slavery is a choice now for my people and some other people. And the reason why I say that is because we live in an era where everyone has access to something, and you have people who choose to keep at the same level of in their life, and then they blame everyone else for their shortcomings, their downfalls. People go in and out of the prison system. It's the white man's fault. It's my mama's fault. It's my daddy's fault. And I want to say right now that slavery comment will resonate for right now. Go ahead, John.
Wow, it's my favorite word is accountability. I will say this to make us as a people feel bad, but also not feel so bad. In order for this agenda to continue, they use it. We're not the only ones that choosing mental slavery. We're not the only ones who choose to continue to stay in the matrix. Basically,
that's true.
I think through ignorance of their own, a lot of people seem to think that the man is only getting over on black people. That's not how the system thrives. That's not how the 1% stay on top.
That's right.
And with us being such a minority of the numbers, they also had to condition again the average normal white man. Also, again, with like you said, what Lyndon B. Johnson said, to me that sounds like, yo, I have to condition them as well as I have to condition the black folks to keep everybody in place. It was easier in whatever case with us because of all the other circumstances, but to keep them and make them think that, yo, you're superior, or yo, this is this, you're the better, or whatever, to keep them there and make them feel like we were their enemies. When it stopped working with us, if y'all don't notice, it switched to, they went to, now the target would be to keep the white men distracted, would be empowered, was like the Hispanics are coming to take your jobs. The Hispanics are coming to do this. But that's always been the trick. When they first came over here, the Europeans, the Irish are coming to take your jobs. The Italians are coming to take your job. It's always with somebody else coming to take from the white man in order for that 1% to stay at the top. And it's been a trick that's continued to work. And so, yes, we're not the only ones who keep falling victim to this continued trick. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right. So I'm gonna read this comment real quick, and then I need to rebuttal that. So Randy Easter said people today try to use slavery as an excuse to say they had PTSD. Man, yo, no, for real. Like, you wasn't even there. Like, I get it that it's hurtful. It hurts to think about it because those are my ancestors, but it didn't affect me directly. You know, I can't say I have in my opinion, I don't think I can say I have PTSD from slavery. But Jamar, to add to your point, yo, that's so funny that you said that, because every time you hear about, you know, our Caucasian others saying things, sometimes they be like, yo, you're here for my job, or the Mexicans took my job. This person took my job. And it's just like, I think we were talking about on your podcast, like, no, the people who are coming here and taking things do not look like me. They do not look like the Mexican people, no one who is Latin descent. I don't want to say Mexican people because that could be offensive, but of Latin descent, there are people who are from other countries, Indian people, you have the Asians, the Japanese, you have the Germans still come over here buying up stuff. They're the ones who are replacing pretty much all the Americans, but yet you have everyday Americans who are born here, who love this country, and we're always at odds with each other. And that's that slavery mentality. We're stuck in this pattern and in this cycle where we want to keep, oh, it's the white man's fault. Oh, black people are evil. Oh, white people just hate us. It's like, guys, we got to get out of that. You know?
Well, that reminds me of that podcast we had before. Sorry, Black. My bad.
No, go ahead, bro. My bad. No,
so
go ahead,
remember the podcast when I was saying that the victim mentality? Mm-hmm. We had a previous podcast about that. So, like, I grew up in the hood, right? But I also grew up in a
Olivia, I'm sorry. Olivia, if you want to comment, you can comment at any time. Just unmute.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, just let us know.
Be back.
And
nice to meet you.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
And one thing that got me thinking that in that aspect is that because from what Allura was saying and what Black V was saying is that we have this mentality that's being put into us that is making us feel that we're beaten down and all that stuff. But then they introduced the crack cocaine in the 70s, destroyed the entire community because everybody in that community was getting so prosperous, becoming very wealthy. Right. And because the warehouses were doing so well and manufacturing was up, it was like 98% of the workforce was out there. It was like no unemployment. And this was like 20 years after 50s. And then you guys had the civil rights movement that went through. Everybody was doing well. It was just looking really good. You know, people were dressing nice. Gangs started forming because Tukey was like, we got a community. We got to take care of each other. Tukey Williams, you know, rest in peace, homie. But that dude created a good thing. But then they introduced the drugs on top of that.
The Crips,
that in there. It destroyed Chicago, man. Chicago and Detroit to this day have never recovered.
That comment back up, please.
Never recovered, and it's getting worse to this day. And it's unfortunate because one, we lost the education. So Trump, nobody likes him, but he was pushing a trade initiative. He was saying we got to get people back to learn skills. This whole education and diploma stuff and getting degrees through traditional colleges is not working. We have people with dumbass degrees like liberal arts and ain't getting jobs, but they're thousands of dollars in debt. But we need welders. We need electricians. We need people with skills that are in demand. And those are the things that were being pushed. And unfortunately, they retracted all those programs because you can actually get full scholarships for trades back 4 years ago. You were able to get those. So I want that programs to come back because trade schools are great. I went to a trade school for IT, and I think everybody should just jump into those in-demand jobs and get certified and learn those skills because welders get paid $90,000 starting. So
well, it all depends. It all depends on area because I know my mother-in-law is a welder. My cousin was a welder. It all depends on the area and experience. You
go become an underwater welder, you're going to get paid six figures easy because those ships need to be repaired. And guess what ships need to be repaired?
Those are great jobs.
Military ships.
Right. So let me read this comment. We got a couple of comments. Let me read the comments. So Randy Easter said they'll come to do the crappiest jobs because today's society has become lazy and demand more than they're worth. That's true.
Yeah. Olivia, you want to say something?
That's true.
Oh, no, not right this second.
So Randy said, I see more Ethiopians and Indian people driving trucks out here too. Oh, that's true. I've seen a couple of them here too.
Yeah.
Which was shocking. Like, what?
Oh, I remember what I wanted to say.
Okay.
What I wanted to say was I do see now in high school more that they're beginning to push the trade programs. Like locally, our 2 trade schools are doing expansion projects and growing and adding new programs. And they're really pushing in the high schools. And so I think that's a great round to see.
That's awesome. That's good. I know they used to do that back at Chofin. I don't know if they still have Chofin in Youngstown, but I know they did that.
I think so. Somebody said they do. Yeah. Somebody said
and my son's currently incarcerated, and he's going through. They offer trade training for them, so he went through a carpentry program while he was there, and he gets out now the end of the month, and he's coming on with a carpentry certificate.
All right. Well, congratulations to your son.
Go ahead, Black.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It was the best place for him.
All of this is designed, if you go back to it, which you brought back up with the whole 70s thing. What I've learned in this country, or maybe it's just because I tend to think again, it's because we're Americans, we get this ideology that the world revolves around us. The world itself is dealing with basically overall the same issues that we're dealing with right now. This is a worldwide thing, and the only way you have a worldwide thing is because the man has basically succeeded in bringing us to a point to where we can't do anything. Everything we need, want, or can use to thrive has to go through them in some shape, form, or fashion through the 1%. And we're all guilty of allowing this. Whether it's we realize, and all of us coming from Youngstown can see it. If you thought jobs and stuff left before, once they brought a Walmart, it was really done. Once they started bringing more and more of these big chains to your area, more and more of the small business owners left. And so going back to the crack era is that it played a big part in breaking down our community. Where I will say is that what we also lack is accountability in the fact that nobody put a gun in nobody's head and said, smoke this damn rock.
Right.
Or them refusing to take their help to get rehab.
Right. Yeah. So we have to also hold, again, if we can't get nowhere, we'll never get nowhere if we can't hold ourselves accountable and stop with this, you can't say that because that'll hurt their feelings. Man, I don't give a damn about that. Listen, being a slave was not a choice. Slavery was a choice for the fact that we then mentally was enslaved as well as physically, and now mentally we still, even emotionally, we are still enslaved to them. And it's a choice, and we continue to stay because it's easier. It's easier to stay enslaved, get up, go do your job, or stay in the hood and collect your little small ass welfare check or sell you a little bit of drugs. It was easier in the 70s to go ahead and say like, yo, like we want to get high, because what is the number one black people always, even to this day, aspire to be? Like the white man. And what they want to do, the white man get high off of coke. I want to get high off of coke. I can't afford coke, so I'm gonna go ahead and smoke crack. I can't let it go. It's addictive. And the system, the 1% is always going to thrive off of the choices we make. And the only way we change it is fuck them laws. Them laws are there basically to keep you enslaved and following in the way that the regime has set up for you. So you have to, in order to get free, you have to break the fucking laws. Them laws are what keeps you enslaved.
They are. I mean, can I say this? Okay, let's go back again, because like I said, I'm a big buff of history. Okay, if you notice throughout time and how it starts, all right, it's the same line of people. You start with Catholicism, the Roman Catholic Church. We get into Europe. It's the same group who said, we don't want to follow your laws. We don't want to do this, so we're going to go start our Church of England. The Church of England blows up. It's the same group. We don't want to follow your laws. We want to do our own thing. We want our freedom of religion. They book and go into Holland. They go into Holland for over 100 years and cause chaos over there.
Well, also, go ahead, and then
Holland said basically, excuse the French, fuck y'all, get the hell out of here. And then they come over here as pilgrims. Get here. See what's over here. This is ours. This ain't yours. This is ours for our posterity. And it's written in that Constitution. Now we get back to this law thing. And I tell people, if we want to beat them, we have to get involved in that system of from the local all the way up to the federal, because everything starts at the local level. We got to start running our own candidates. Because whoever controls the legislative branch of law in every community controls what can be done, what can be said, and controls the purse. And once we understand that, and then build our own lobbyists, who lobbies for us in Congress? Who really lobbies for us?
That go back to we don't have black infrastructure.
Right.
Thank you.
Black infrastructure.
Talked about
who we need to get rid of though in order to make that happen? Al Sharpton. He's been a part of like holding people back for years. Yeah, that guy's never been about making it for everybody. He's all about himself, and unfortunately, that's what recently he's been doing.
I mean, but that's just not him though. So I'm not going to bash Al Sharpton.
I'll do it. Don't worry,
because he has, even though he has his reasons behind doing things, he has had some doors open and some things have gotten done, and he has shed light on some things, and no one's perfect. That's just like the Catholic Church. We can go there. You know, we have all these people claiming to be the heroes for the people, but they are not. They're lining their pockets. And that's where America needs to get smart, and we need to realize that all these people who come as false saviors and claim they're going to help us, we need to do our research. We got to be diligent with our research and knowing what they have to bring to the table. I don't want to just hear you tell me what you're going to do and rah. I want to see you implement something. Give me something, implement something first, and then we're going to see if we're going to put you in office, or we're going to see if we're going to elect you here.
Exactly.
If you're for the people. So, yeah.
Or hide in the basement and get 81 million votes, which is outrageous.
Yes.
Outrageous.
And I want to.
I'm sorry.
Then I'm going to go after you.
I was going to add on to what you were saying, and whatever all of you have been saying, especially Frank. The biggest thing is this, and I'll harp on it because, again, slavery is a choice. It's more about the mental than the physical, and if you give them the choice, like what happened when they were when they were freed, most of them stayed. They stayed. They had the choice to be free, and a lot of them stayed and quote unquote sharecroppers. Once they did away with the segregation, you know what's the biggest thing to suffer was black owned businesses in the black communities that was thriving. Those suffered because black folks was like, woohoo, we always
can
kept
go to the
chasing
white stores.
Let me tell you something. It was a video that was that came out, and it was a white reporter. Well, it wasn't really a reporter. It was like a documentary. And in the documentary, the Caucasian man said the American Negro will be willing to spend top dollar just to look good. The American Negro will.
I saw that.
You seen that?
Yeah.
And that is the mental slavery that still has a hold on us now. Because when black people get some money, what the first thing they go do?
Buy Jordans
Gotta go look sharp.
It's time
Give
to
that
go
money to the white
sharp.
man. Give it to
And then let me
take it out
go.
the community.
And then let me go sit here and take a deuce on my fellow black people.
Yeah,
That's what they do.
Look at this. You can't afford this. Look at this. This just came out. This came out last week. I got this shit. 2 days before it came out.
But then you see Asians, you see Koreans, you see Mexican families
supporting their own communities.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
They get money and they're going to pass it down to the children. They're going to spread the wealth around. You know, it's okay, auntie, we're going to go ahead and invest in this store for you. And then when you get that money in the store, you make sure you take care of little cousin and her sister too. And then little cousin and little sister, when y'all get y'all store, you go ahead and pass it down to little BB and little CC. And then, you know, it keeps on. That's how they keep wealth in their family. But, you know, unfortunately, my community, and I don't want to talk down on my community like we're not nothing. We are amazing. We are amazing, but we lack dedication. And
do you think that is because of the development of the culture really only started in the last few hundred years? You know, so the development of the culture in general, you know, it needs to get better over time, I guess I'm saying.
No, I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is they want to fit in.
It's it's a status thing. So like they were.
Can I finish this real quick?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So what I was going to say was, like the comment I said about the video with the white guy saying that black people will spend top dollar. It started from there, and it continue is, like I said, it's mental slavery and it's conditioning. So they've been conditioned from since they got free to want to look and imitate, you know, Caucasians or others to feel like they finally made it or they found their place. But go ahead, B. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, we were all conditioned. Everyone in the hood conditioned that if you drive a Mercedes, you made it. If you wear Boofu, buy us FU, you made it, right? And then if you wear Jordans, you made it. Or wearing Rolexes or chains, like 30,000 chains and stuff. 2 chains, wearing 3 chains. That's false advertising.
Teeth.
So grills. So like me, I follow the billionaire logic, right? My getup, my whole attire don't cost more than $60. I will spend so little on what I wear to the point where I don't even buy my clothes. My mom buys my clothes.
My uncle's the richest man I know, and
Don't
he
even
wears giveaway T-shirts from pharmaceutical
Thrift
companies.
stores, man. Yep.
I mean, you see, Ye walking around in the
Homeless. Hell yeah.
Go ahead, Frank.
And I want to go back, like I said, to what he said. We don't have any kind of infrastructure. I mean, I hear like when we talk about Kanye, I hear him, but I don't hear him, and that, you know, people get mad at me about that because I'm like, how am I gonna get mad at them when they make money and they spend their money does not leave their community? It stays in their community 20 times before it leaves another community. We only keep our dollar in our community 1 hour.
They said 15 minutes.
Wait, Frank. Say that again. How long we keep our money in our
community? We keep it in our community 1 hour. 1 hour before we spend it in somebody else's.
And let's go home, change clothes, and go spend it.
Yeah, and we got to think about this. Okay, we contribute, I think it was last year, and even more before then, $800 billion. Now think about this. The Jewish community It is only 2.4% of the population in the
But
United States.
how much wealth of the United States do they own?
You see what I'm saying? But they have wealth because they do what? Think about it. They have a fund that they go through, all right? That if their community wants to have a business, they loan them the money, interest-free, and teach them all how to do it. When a Jewish boy turns 10, what is Miss Mitzvah, whatever it is?
Bar mitzvah.
This guy can get almost $10,000 to $100,000 that will set him up for life when he reaches 18. What's the rapper, Little Dicky? He told us. He said they asked him, "How did you fund your rap career?" He said, "Oh, the money that I got from my business, bar mitzvah."
So black people don't even want to bring toys to a birthday party. They just want to show up and eat.
But they help. When have we seen each other? Do we do anything like that?
Nope.
No.
Do we got a fund that helps each other that we can go through to?
There are some that exist, but they're far and few between.
I got one.
Between. And we got 46 million people of color in the United States, and 800 billion that we put into the economy, and we ain't got a pot to piss in. We have no structure.
Wait. Can I challenge y'all after you go ahead, Jamar, and then I'm gonna challenge y'all.
Okay. We do have every time we get a pot to piss in, we sell it and then run around telling he's a great businessman. Y'all don't understand business. Y'all don't understand business. He had BET and he sold it for $1 billion. Y'all don't understand business. I even watched them on the Breakfast Club when people talk about people not owning stuff. They be like, "Yo, you don't understand business." No, you don't understand. They in the business of sitting there saying, "I can give you the money. The ownership is what I want. The influence that ownership has is what I want. All you're going to do with that $1 billion I just gave you is turn around and spend it on shit and give it back to me anyway."
And that's what I said. That's what I said about, because I said, look, he doesn't own the design. Okay, people say, well, this was this and this. I said, these people made $1 billion off of you in the last couple years. They don't need you no more. They can go pay one of the highest paid influencers, even though they own the design and change all. They've been doing it for years.
Well, that's what Randy was saying that too. That's what Randy was talking about.
What are we talking about? They made 1.8 billion, $1 billion off of him per year since he was there. That's enough money to go and get any person of influence around the world to sell an Adidas brand.
Right. But let me challenge you guys, because someone said that Black people, we need to start our own banks. And I forgot who said that. But this is the thing, though. We could do that. But unfortunately, the Black community falls for the okie doke every time, right? So the okie doke is, let me come set up in this neighborhood. Because remember that show, Bait Card? I want you guys to think about this. You have people coming to our neighborhoods and they bait these young kids they know don't have much. And then these young kids get baited, and guess where they end up at? In the prison system. And that's 1, 2, 3 young men from our community who might have been just as smart as they want to be. Now they're sitting somewhere incarcerated and they can't touch and influence someone else. So we got to stop falling for this okie doke too, where we're settling for the little chunk of change. Like you said, the welfare, and welfare is good to help you up. But then again, you got to think it's to keep you complacent, because they don't want you to go and search outside of that. Because once you start going to search outside of that, when you can make more money than what they're giving you, then you're going to become a problem, because you're going to teach other Black people how to do that. I mean, at least that's my standpoint on it.
Can I jump on your welfare thing?
Go ahead, brother.
The welfare thing is a funny thing. It's what it initially set out to do, the good and the bad of it. Most people didn't get. Us didn't get the setup, and white America didn't get the setup either. And they used to go back and forth. I remember being a kid watching presidential debates, and they would always bring up welfare, until finally, I say maybe 10, 15 years ago, the white man woke up and said, "Whoa, wait a minute. You mean to tell me I could go buy this crappy ass house or apartment building in a neighborhood, do the very minimal things to it, fix it up to the minimal standards, and rent it out, and the government, I'll say a high price, a pretty high price, and the government's going to pay the majority of that. And
Corporate
then this
welfare.
person that's in the corporate welfare. So they do that. Like most people don't realize, I didn't know, but I work with a whole bunch of people who are farmers. That where the money for the farmers that they get, because farmers all get a lot of farmers, especially bigger ones with government assistance. It comes from the Welfare Act.
Yeah,
they get their money from the Welfare Act too. They just don't try to refer to it, but they'll still talk down on people. Again, most of the people who own these houses in the hood aren't people that look a lot of times like, well, now we've become more inclined onto the hookup now because we're like, yo, you mean I can buy these houses in the hood? So we're late to the party as usual.
Late to it.
But and that's all it is. Why you think none of them busy running around and we're screaming about welfare?
Yeah, Elon Musk, all of them. They get corporate welfare.
Yeah,
Has anybody ever really just done a research on where they get their wealth from? Most of their wealth, billionaires,
like Tom Brady,
corporate welfare.
No, it wasn't Tom Brady. It was what was the name? I'm sorry, Frank.
The quarterback.
Brett Favre.
Brett Favre.
Wow.
It's corporate welfare. That's where they get it from. Elon Musk has gotten billions through government subsidizing.
Emily Wade said
right now he's doing something, and that's why he's out here now in Reno. I mean, in Las Vegas and all throughout Nevada, because through this infrastructure bill that a lot of people don't understand what's going on, it's changing the whole concept of how we do business, going towards a digital age. Infrastructure just ain't about roads and bridges. Infrastructure, they have changed the whole scope. And he is out here, just those little things that are in the batteries that power, I forgot what the name of it is. Las Vegas has the most of it. And enough of it for 80-something years to power the world. Elon
plutonium?
About to get billions off of that stuff.
That's lithium ion, right? You talking about that? Lithium.
What you say just now?
Lithium ion.
Yeah, you're right. There it is.
Yeah, but what I say? Plutonium, like you're about to blow up something. Like so stupid. but Frank,
look, me and one of my partners looking into it because in out here, especially in Las Vegas, if you got a plan that can supply that, move it through chain supply management and logics, you're gonna be a billionaire.
Okay, so Frank, let me ask you this question though. So you hear all of these politicians and these local leaders talk about they want to help Black people get out of poverty, and as you and Jamar just said, Black infrastructure could be the key for us. Why is that not taught in school? Why isn't that not being taught in our neighborhood? Why is it that we hear this from the few like yourself and Jamar? Why do you think?
Because that's the way they teach they don't teach the white the white kids or the Hispanic kids
that's
either.
Across the board. They don't.
Yeah, that's across the board. Yeah.
They don't want people to really know how they're getting their wealth. And like I tell people, if it's in wealth, a lot of it is in stock options. A lot of it, that's what it's in. A lot of it is in stock options. And they don't want people to know that game or what they're playing. Anybody can play that game, but they don't want you to play that game. And then when you got one or two who are smart enough to do it, they're going to go the other way with it. And, he's troublemaker. Don't listen to him. They're going to always go opposite. And then what do we do? Look at him. He think he.
Or they're going to hit you with, you haven't paid taxes in 6 years.
They're going to hit you because they don't want you in that game. Unless you're coming up through them. Like I challenge so many people when they go, oh, well, Jay-Z. I said, well, who really owns, what is it called? Rock Nation?
Rock Nation.
I said, who really owns it?
He sold it.
I said, who's the money behind all that? Who's the money behind Jay-Z? Live Nation. Who's the money behind Live Nation? It's an old white billionaire at the top.
Or a Jewish one.
Yeah, that's what he is.
Yeah.
Controlling the whole shebang.
Wow.
So my thing be like Kanye and all this. This is who at the top. You look at the music business. I said, where's the money coming? Where is it going? In the music business, everything going right back up to the top to what's the guy that brought Dr. Dre on?
Oh, you talking about Jimmy Iovine?
Jimmy Iovine.
Oh, the crook.
He's the one that's at the top of it all. We have like my brother said, we gotta have some kind of infrastructure. We got to be able to have something that moves across the board where we're teaching our community about this, how the laws are played, how to get involved politically, how to build our own lobby system,
and be able to buy senators and congressmen,
and be able to buy them. You got to
speak that. Y'all speak that.
I'm gonna give you something here, and a lot of people misquote this. It says a gift will make room for you. Your gift will make room for you. Pastors teach this word so wrong, and they make you think it's about playing pianos and all that. Gift in the Hebrew is a bride. Look it up. And then after that, it gives you who that bride will influence. People in power. This
you
is
know
the
what?
word of God.
That makes sense though.
So let me give you an example. Here you are, a community leader. You got a great heart. Oh, you want to do something for the kids. You want to build this and you want to build this organization and okay? But here I come along. Hey, man, I like what you're doing. I like to donate $10,000 to your campaign. But by the way, I hear that there's, some money out there in community development that I like to get some things done. Who gonna get that contract?
The person who got that gift.
We don't do that. We have no type of infrastructure that walks in Congress with that law in hand, like the white boys do, and say, "Look, get this shit done."
We don't even know how to attach it in the right way to be like, "Yo, get it done." I don't give a fuck if you got to make it the pig fat in the bill that you passing.
Yeah.
Most people don't even. That's what they do. They're like, "Yo, if I can't get it done on the main agenda, put it right there." I don't give a damn. I paid you this money. Most of the politicians don't even get on some of these important boards that do a lot of deciding things without getting money from lobbyists and paying to get on these certain to get on these certain boards and different things. They got to pay their way in to get appointed to boards and other chairs and different things like that to be able.
You know what they say? You got to pay to play.
Got to pay to play.
It's the gift and curse of capitalism. Everything can be bought and everything can be sold. And so and here's the thing, and Frank and Vivaz probably could agree, and all y'all could probably agree with me or disagree, is that we have to stop being on the fence. When I say we, us as a people, we have to decide either we're going to say, fuck this broken system, and we're going to just tear it down, or you're going to be a part of the system, and fucking run the system.
And play the game.
And the way you do, and play the game. If you're going to play it, play the game.
You know what I always had the idea of, and I always used to tell my husband this, and I was like in my 20s thinking this. I said I wanted to purchase a compound. You know how in rural areas they have those compounds where you have the Caucasians just teaching their family whatever they want to learn and teaching them how to shoot and stuff like that. I want to do that for our people, and I just felt like if we had some place where we can just teach our young Black men and women uninterrupted from the rest of the world, getting them away from social media, because we gotta admit social media can be the downfall of some of these kids, and getting them away from these rap lyrics and stuff like that, just taking them somewhere secluded. And actually the game that you guys are spitting right now, teaching them stuff like that, because you got to realize young Black kings don't know how to hunt. Most of them can't fish. Most of them can't even load a gun properly. In the hood, most houses get hit because they can't aim. Unfortunately, that's a sad thing that I have to reference, but that is true. Like, I'm always on the fence of thinking about what if the worst, because this has nothing to do with nothing, but what if the worst happened and we had to live back in the days where we just back with sticks and stones, just fighting each other? Because if this war in Russia actually spills over here, that's where we're going to be at, as Brandon says. Vivaz, I'm sorry. Our young men and women would not know how to live off the land.
No.
And I've been thinking about stuff like that. I'm like, this is something that we need to do as a people. We need to remove our children from this world. I know that sounds crazy. What do you mean remove our children from this world? Get them away from these worldly things that are poison. You guys have to realize.
Unplug them. Let's unplug
them. Thank you. Unplug them.
I like that.
It's brainwashing at every aspect of your life. Like
that's another podcast episode right there. That's another podcast episode right there. Right. Unplugging the youth. Save our children.
I would counteract that by not unplugging, but more of like take away the distractions and give them the actual stuff that they need to know. Like, hey, you want to succeed, you need to know these things. Like Frank was saying, it's like, you got to make sure that you read, go look at these all this information that's available to you and readily available, because Library of Congress is online now. They've been scanning all the documents. They've been doing this as an initiative that's been going on for 20 years. So they've been doing this over time. They got about, I think, over 50% of it scanned, and they do it daily. So, always look up the things you can. And if you feel some information you're being fed is incorrect, go and challenge it. If you know something, you're more than welcome. Twitter now is a safe haven for people who want to debate. It's no longer a one-sided, you can't talk without being fact-checked. Now there's both sides are going to
fact-checking is important, though.
But both sides
that's important.
Fact-check.
And
you need to understand, it was only one side being removed from their ability to talk. And that was a conservative viewpoint. If you had a conservative viewpoint, you were being silenced. And now it's not happening anymore with the whole Elon Musk takeover of Twitter. That's what's most important. You have to have proper information. You need to be able to challenge that information you're given. And you need to be able to freely decide whether you want to follow that info or find something else.
Yeah. But I still believe in fact checking and unplugging our kids. Being a black woman, having black sons. Okay, Olivia, thank you for having us. Thank you for having us. Thank you for being with us. I would still say unplug for the black kids. And the reason why I say that is because it is so easy to get distracted and pulled in by so much. So unplugging for our children, I say is going to be important, because the world has had a handle on our young black men and women for so long that we have to get a grip of them and basically hit the reset button. That's my viewpoint. I'm gonna stand firm on that.
It's just like I said. It's just we got to get to a place where, again, either we gonna talk it or we ain't gonna talk it. I mean, we could get up there and yell and scream all day. They don't care about none of that. You can yell and scream all day. But if you ain't got the infrastructure and the money and all of that to be behind it, I mean, what you gonna do against Jamie? What's his name? That's over Chase Bank, $400 and something billion. What you gonna do? They can run a political campaign against you and destroy you. And then you have to begin to realize that if you're gonna put yourself out there, you are now getting ready to get a foul on you. And you got to be willing. Now, I'm not gonna say I'm a Trump fan or whatever, because I'm really not. But you got to be willing to be on some shit like they dig up something on you. So the fuck what? I did do it, and what? I'm just like regular people out here. That's how you dispel that shit. We get scared when they come out.
Transparent, like Platinum P said. Platinum just said that.
You gotta be like, that's one thing I can't say about it. You gotta be okay. Yeah, I did that. Yeah, you dig that shit up, and what? You did it too, throw it back on them, and you gotta be ready to fight it with fire, but you gotta have that infrastructure.
Frank.
Oh,
go ahead, B. I'm sorry.
Like what you just said is why he got so much hate, Trump, because he was a billionaire that couldn't be bought.
No, he can be bought.
No.
Trump
he was bought.
He was bought.
No, the lobbyists couldn't buy him. You guys really need to look into that, especially you, Laura. You're really a hater. But let me tell you.
I'm not a hater. It's facts. Trump was definitely bought.
Think about it. How much hate has that dude gotten since he initially said, I'm running for office? How much hate? And before
he has been, him and his family has been banned from purchasing buildings in New York because they have been so bought.
And before that, 2016,
Not Brooklyn, New York.
every single rapper was saying, "Be like Trump." Who you tell me who wasn't rapping about being like Trump?
They were rapping like being like Trump in the sense of money and just saying what you want to say. But Trump was definitely bought. Most men like him are bought and paid for. You don't get where you're at to that status without giving favors and doing favors.
I'm talking about politically, he was hated by the lobbyists. And if you try to tell me no, look it up. Because if you
wait. You're saying I don't think it's by design.
Thank you.
It mattered about
Millie Wade. Thank you.
Was buying him, and it wasn't about the money. It was about what can you do for me for something else he wanted. So if you could sit there, in whatever case, and get him either votes, or you could sit there and help him out with other stuff he had, or in this case, sit there and hold off investigations going on into him, or he needed some type of different things like that, or making deals for people to help buy him extensions of certain loans that were coming up very soon. He was about being bought. So there's no person in government, period, that is above being bought. Trump, yes, a billionaire, but Trump is a billionaire whose whole mind state is about he can be bought. He would sit there and tell you like, yo, everything is for sale.
And he said it himself out of his mouth. He said, go ahead. I'm sorry, Jamar. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go say it.
He said, if I was going to ever run for president, because I don't think people forget about this interview, I would run as a Republican. Because they will listen to anything. They're the dumbest party there is. And he knew he could. You know why he knew he could run as Republican? Because he didn't had so many favors done by them and so many favors done for them. That's why Lindsey Graham was afraid to speak out about him too much, because he probably got some type of videos of Lindsey in the closet.
Okay. So everybody doesn't see the greatness that we had for 4 years and how things were so good by gas being $2. Okay. You mean him riding off the coattails of the economy that Obama set in place, and him riding the coattails of what Obama set in place. And let's not forget that you're giving him credit for something that the gift and the curse of COVID was. Gas prices stayed down because of COVID, because less people.
Nobody went nowhere.
If you're gonna tell it, bro, you gotta tell it. You gotta tell it all. You can't tell it without having the whole thing.
It was the surplus of gas that we had here. We were exporting it. Now we're not exporting. We don't export anything anymore.
Why don't we?
Exporting.
We do.
Lost all.
We still export.
We export more now under Biden.
Huh?
We export more.
We're exporting more under Biden right now.
Yes.
No, we're not exporting.
We are. We're producing and exporting more.
We are importing more than we're exporting.
We're exporting more. We're exporting more and producing more under Biden than we did under Trump. We're
actually 1 million barrels short a day than what we were.
But think about it. Gas prices. I know the Republican side loves to say about presidents do not control gas. It's all about supply and demand. Everything is supply and demand. Like I said, I'm in one of the toughest degrees that chain supply management and logistics is everything. Everything. And it's all about the supply and the demand. Everything's about the supply. And
one of the supply
were sitting our asses down for those years. Nobody was going nowhere. And I always say, if they would have sat their asses down and just let that thing ride out, whatever it was going to do, we wouldn't have this high price of shit. But inflation is just not in the United States of America.
It's a world
all over the damn world.
I won't lie though. Trump took me out with that kung fu.
That are higher than the United States.
Straight out with that kung fu. I said, Lord, he ain't got no chill.
Yeah, it's high all over the damn world. It's places in the world that prices and gas prices are like $8-9 a gallon.
That is true.
More than in the United States. Biden ain't got no control over that.
No, that would happen around the world.
Capitalism, baby. Capitalism.
You got to think about the tax breaks, okay? The tax breaks, if you really read it, who did it really help?
All the rich.
Number one, they said the tax
Well,
breaks.
he wrote that. He wrote that to help the rich, though. And
they already had a surplus. And now they even got more money. Who they hiring? Who they hiring?
Oh, that's what I wanted to say. Because somebody said something about trade. Somebody said we have all these trades. And I was like, but I hear all these jobs talking about they're looking for employees, but they don't be hiring people. They don't be hiring people. You hear all these trades. Oh, we need employees. We need this. But then I've been seeing so many people say they apply for the jobs and they're still not getting these jobs.
It's a skill gap. It's a skill gap.
Like I said, a lot of stuff. You got to look at the record though. A lot of stuff he did build off of, because the person who had the highest, who brought it down the most, was Obama. It was at 9 points.
He rolled away.
He brought it down like 9 points. Then Trump came in and brought it down like another 2 points, or something like 2 points, 1 point, something points. And he said, "Oh, I got black unemployment down." No, the person who brought it down the most was Obama in history of black unemployment. Trump brought it back down, but then COVID
we can say
it went back up. It went back up. Now Biden has gotten it back down to 3 point something. Now
but it's about to go back up.
But we can say that Trump did kind of help assist get the food to the black families. And we can say that.
I will say this about Trump. Under him, paychecks did rise. They did rise.
Give him that.
Paychecks did rise.
I can't criticize without giving props, or I'm basically just a biased ass bastard. And so, listen, D-Vaz, I'm willing to ride with you on some things, but I'm not going to give that man credit for things that he had one job. Don't fuck it up. And he knew that. He knew all he had to do was just come in and ride the wave. And
he only created
was doing
6
a good
million
job.
jobs, man.
Yeah, he was doing a good job until COVID came.
So you're saying the 6 million jobs that were created weren't robust, and we didn't have a great.
Their presidents created way more jobs than that.
They were trickled down from Obama.
Who'd you say? Who
their presidents who created way more jobs than that.
But
way more.
He unleashed a thriving business that was being held back for years, and now that thriving business is now in jeopardy. If you guys haven't realized what's going on today with inflation,
What business? Which business?
The oil, natural gas. It's
it's always been thriving.
It's thriving. It's always been thriving.
It's not thriving as it was.
Let me read this comment really quick.
You mean so Exxon just made their highest grossing? Exxon just made their highest grossing,
and
whatever,
they stopped the federal leases. Like doing all that, these businesses cannot keep up with the demand now. It's harder now to find oil, and they can't even get the permits. So they say there's all these leases, right? But these permits aren't there. And the drilling, they've done the drilling in those lands that the government says they're available. There's no oil there. The ones that have the oil, they can't get them because Biden says nope.
No.
And
why would we do that as a country?
In Pennsylvania, if Fetterman gets voted in, that goes away all completely. He just now changed his narrative saying, "Oh, I support fracking." He says that now because they're losing. You got to see what's happening out there because
but why would we do? But here's the thing.
It's bad.
Why would this is the difference between? And let me not. This is why I don't like Trump. Trump thinks like a businessman, but Trump thinks like a business. No, that's not great. You don't run a country. You can't run a country like a business. It's two different things. A businessman sees a office and be like, "Yo, why are we spending billions of dollars a year, hundreds of millions of dollars a year on this office? Close it down. We don't need it." Next thing you know, a pandemic happens. Who handles that? The Office of Pandemics that you close. What makes this country so great is
that's what actually happened. That's what actually happened.
Us as a country, this is why you can't have a businessman. As a country, we spend billions and millions of dollars for influence over the world, having military bases there, giving them aid. So when we want something or we want to do something, how dare you tell us no? You tell us no, you now rely on us. So because it's not, again, just like the 1%, the money doesn't matter. It's the influence. It's the control I have. That's the way America has always operated. Do you know who stole our thing and is using it and gaining more influence around the world, especially rich places? China. China doesn't care about the money. It's about the influence. They took the American model and flipped it. Trump got everybody running around thinking, I'm a great businessman. We're paying all this money. We're paying more than our fair share of NATO and all this other stuff. You want to know why we pay? Because we control and decide when the hell we go into something and when we not. We like the control. That's what it's about. A businessman can't see that because he only sees. But we want it for the control. Again, to us, it's not about the money. It's about the control. We like to dictate things to our terms. And he with the biggest purse gets to do that.
Okay,
that's the difference between Trump and
I'm sorry. Let me read this comment and you can go ahead. He said, he has a comment for you. He said, is America not a corporation?
Right.
I know what people say. I know what people say.
Plotting with that haymaker now.
The best CEO we had. I mean, he was
the
greatest CEO.
I know the conspiracies that go on, and they talk about the corporation of the United States of America.
The greatest. You'll see when he's back 2024. You'll see, and you're gonna see next week when the Republicans win both the House and the Senate, and you're gonna see in 2024 when Trump goes and wins again. We're gonna have everything that we had 4 years ago. It's gonna come all back again. It's gonna be great. You guys are gonna be shocked.
The country is gonna be even more divided. We don't need him in office right now.
Just look at it from this perspective. We all want to have money in our pockets.
I know about to vote Trump back in because he didn't bail out. He ain't bail out his
safe homes. Hold on. We want to have safe homes, free from crime, right? We don't want any problems when it comes to we don't want any problems when it comes to other countries. We don't want missile tests happening in North Korea. We don't want Iran to have nukes. We don't want a war over there in Ukraine. But guess what happened when Biden came in? All of that. You know why? Because the world sees weakness. And I'm going to tell you right now what's going to happen in January. If it ain't already going to happen after the Chinese New Year, Taiwan will be invaded by China because Biden is weak. He shows weakness. The world.
Trump was going to let him. What are you talking about? Trump was okay with it. He didn't care.
Nope, he was not going to let it happen. He
did not care.
Told Russia to their face, if you invade Ukraine, I will make you not exist. He told North Korea, if you test again,
he lied, but he didn't care. I guarantee you. It's going to appear. Everything you said is right. It will appear that way. And it will appear that way, except for the fact that in the long term, it will come back and it will bite us in the ass. It will appear that way because Trump will give you the falsehood that he gave you everything you wanted. Just like for the past few years, you've been living under the falsehood that he did all these great things. He didn't do nothing. He didn't pass hardly any policies except for one. And that was a crime bill. Everything else, he just had to sit back and not fuck it up. He just did a whole bunch of this.
Yeah, I agree with that, and then I disagree. What I agree with is that they are trying this because they do view Biden as weak. That is a fact. I'm
not gonna ride for Biden. I'm not gonna ride for Biden. He's a weak ass dude.
But what I believe and what I think is that Trump and Putin were in bed together, and he told Putin, because Putin and China are in bed together, they're homies. He told Putin, I'll give you what you want, do what you need, just don't be letting no wars pop off. Tell your homies to cool out. That's what that was about. And then China told North Korea, listen, you're going to either get with us and chill out for now because we all doing this. This is the plan. And if you get out of line, we're going to come fuck you up because North Korea is not going to challenge China and China's not going to challenge Russia. That's just how it is. And I believe that but Trump had an alliance with them. Hey, you chill for a little bit. I'll throw you this and this and that. No. I won't put sanctions on you if you do this. I'm going to look past this. I believe that's a relationship that they had, and it appeared to the U.S. people that Trump feared Putin because Trump wasn't nobody to fear, bro.
No, it was.
Let me put it like this, man. As a former military person, the United States it's all a facade. Let me tell you something, man. Ain't no military on this planet can fuck with us. Trust me. Not with what we got. Excuse the language. What we have.
They don't mess with
what
us
we have.
My dude.
There is not one, not even Russia. Russia don't even got enough money.
Those Marines.
They don't mess with us.
You should know that, dude.
I know, but I know.
Army, baby.
there's-
Army
Not
hood.
one-
Hood.
nobody can mess with us.
No,
A lot of
that's
times
not-
when we
you're,
going
you're
over
talking
there-
military, but you're not talking geopolitics. Let me
Once we go over there, a lot of that stuff is all about money. It's all about money. You know that, bro.
So politics, when you go into the geopolitics side, why everything's looking chaotic right now, and why we looking
that's
like
just the cost of war. Behind the scene, it's all about money.
But
Behind the scene, it's all about weapons. It's
Yeah,
all
but-
about military-industrial complex.
I get
That's
what
what
B's saying though.
yeah, but Laura,
I get what you're saying, B.
yeah, well, Laura, you were mentioning that when you said that they were all in bed together. But let me tell you, that's not what happened. What happened is Trump saw a serious problem with the geopolitics, foreign relations, right? He created the Abraham Accords. He kept asking them, what is it that you need over here in Saudi Arabia? Why you are attacking these countries, or why you feel they're threatening to you? He sat those guys down and even got Israel involved and was like, what's wrong? Had them talking to each other. These leaders never talked to each other.
Yes,
And
they
he got
have.
them
You
talking-
remember? Yes, they have. When
Yes, they
Korea,
have.
yes, they did.
Yes,
When
they have.
not with a
when Korea was shooting
Yes,
those
they
missiles,
have.
no one's
China,
ever done it.
China didn't say nothing
It's
at first, and then they
Jerusalem.
told them to chill out.
Jerusalem has an embassy now, and you know who promised them an embassy?
But
Carter.
what they got to do with the price of tea in
It was
China?
40
Who
years
the
of
embassy?
just things never happening. What? Hang on.
Yeah, and then
Trump came
what's-
in and he
then
was
his
like,
son
all
went and
this
got an
stuff that
amazing
happened,
deal
we're gonna
over
make it
there.
happen. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Then his son-in-law went and got an amazing multi-billion-dollar
Yeah,
deal.
no, hold on,
Right.
hold on. Kushner
That's
thing.
why
that
he's
was
under
shady-
investigation.
That was shady as hell. No, that whole no. I
Yeah,
don't.
Jerry
I don't
Kushner
agree
is
with
just-
that. That was shady as hell, and that dude has some shady business dealings here in Jersey when he was messing around with those apartment complexes and infecting.
And
them.
that's why they're banned too, because of some of the stuff that he had
Yo,
his name
Kushner-
Your
on.
did
boy
some
is
shady
banned.
stuff.
The Trump organization is a.
Too.
Listen,
Even their charity,
I'm not mad
their
at the dude for
got,
doing what everybody else do. Lying
Yeah,
on his
and-
taxes, cheating to get ahead. He's no like Frank said. Y'all do it, I do it, and whatever the case.
It's cool when they
He
do
is.
it. It's
He's
cool when they
cool.
What
do
he
it.
told, I tell everybody, and they missed it in the debate. He told Hillary, he said, look, if you didn't like what I was doing, you as a senator, you should have changed the laws. Okay?
He
He said that. He
Right.
said that.
It goes
And
back
that's
to
what
the
he
law.
did, though.
I don't
And
know,
that's what he did. He got in the White House.
What we been talking about? They playing the game with inside the law. And if either we would, like you say, fuck it and burn it down, or we're gonna all get together and say, let's play the game like they play the game.
Yep.
But
Mhm.
we
Yeah,
can play
Triple H
the game. And we will not, you gotta be willing to play the game if you want to get what they have. You gotta play the game.
Right. But guys, we gotta wrap this up.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for
No
having me.
problem. Listen, y'all three together. I love it. Because I get all of you
Oh yeah,
guys.
B Vaz is my dude, man. B Vaz
Yes,
is my
and
dude.
and
It's
guys,
my-
y'all see how blessed
right.
I am. Y'all see how blessed I am. I have 3 intelligent men to sit here and talk to me, educate me, and educate you guys. I love it so much. So this is what beauty looks like. This is a thing of beauty right here. So don't be sleeping on these men out here. I'm all pro men, okay? So we always forget to uplift our men. And right here, right now, I want to uplift all 3 of you guys and tell you guys to keep pushing. All 3 of these men have something going on in their lives that is amazing, and not everyday people can do this. So we got Mr. Frank, who is in law school right now, also a realtor. Go ahead, sir. Tip your hat. Tip your hat. Sir. Okay.
Yeah, many
got
blessings, King, many blessings.
Right, we got my homeboy Jamar here, and Jamar he's a serial entrepreneur. Okay, this man got business on top of business on top of business. He out here trying to get to the coins.
It is.
But I just put my faith in amazing people and try to help them see their dreams, while my dream is to help people see their dreams. So
I love
I'm
that.
just blessed. I believe in people and don't mind in putting something behind them to achieve what they want to achieve.
I love that. And then we got my BFF, my favorite person in the world. Y'all see me and him bump heads from time to time. But let me tell you guys, this man is so amazing. He is so smart. He is so dope. Homeboy is gonna be going to Croatia.
Yeah, I'm gonna be going there school. I go to Penn State University, so that's one of the things I'm doing, cybersecurity.
All right.
For my
Dope,
bachelor's.
dope,
Yeah,
dope,
I'm
dope.
also intern at a spot called Universal Health Services. I'm an information security analyst there.
That's my boy.
And I got 10 years in IT.
Yes.
That's what's up.
And that's I want to let you guys know, anyone who was watching this video, and we got my boy Platinum P. He is not on here, but he's definitely in the comments. He the one who had that comment, and I hit them with that haymaker. But anyways, I just want you guys to know, anyone who's watching, you guys seeing these three men right here, if you guys have past criminal records, if you guys feeling discouraged and you don't feel like you are anything or you can make it, just look at these men. One of them told you that he lived in the hood. You know, the other one tell you he is trying his hand in everything. And then we have this other black king right here who just sitting here like, I'm a realtor in law school. So
and may I say to help those brothers, don't look at just the realtor, because I've been there. I spent time because, you know, I got hit for, you know, and I'm just being honest, you know, drug conviction, you know what I'm saying? And they told me I would go back. Even though I was in school, all this other stuff.
Oh, wow. Let's say
I was on a big league thing with it. Trust me, I was there at that top with it. And they told me I would never make it, but I'm here. And if you have a determination, nobody can tell you what you can't do. They told me I wouldn't be a realist, told me I wouldn't get in law school, told me I wouldn't. But you know what? I'm here.
Amen.
So you can do it.
Yeah, the
Slavery is a choice.
Yeah, the road ain't closed because of that. You know, I suffer from bipolar disorder. I also have a conviction myself, domestic violence, only because during that time I had like a really dark situation going on with my dad passing away. I had problems in the Marine Corps. My command completely turned their back on me. The ex-wife and I were fighting, and I was just like, I was so not well. But what was this, like 13 years later, I've been rehabilitated, and I have medication, and I have the treatment, and I have like an understanding of what I have. So understanding that, if I knew freaking 15 years ago what I was suffering from, I probably wouldn't have done any of those things, because I'm not a violent person at heart. I was trained to kill, but I don't like, that's not my first resort. I try to like have a conversation, debate, try to like find out what the thought process of the person who's angry with me. I try to get along with everybody.
Right.
So that's like why, you know, I went from there to become an IT professional, and I make, you know, a difference by helping others. Yes.
And the main thing that he said was he took control of his life. And that's what all of these gentlemen basically said: take control of your life. And you don't have to be a person of color. You don't have to be Latin. For whoever this comes across, if this is for you, you take this and you apply it in your life. Do not give up on yourselves. You guys, you have to believe in your greatness, because no one else can believe in you if you don't believe in you. They'll only see your greatness when you let us shine through. So I'm going to end this podcast tonight, and I want to thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate all of you guys. All you guys know, make sure if you have not subscribed to this channel, hit that subscribe button, subscribe to your girl's channel, follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, all those streaming services. We're there. Bye, y'all. Be safe.
All right.